We are here in the East Room of the White House. It's incredible to be here. So much history has been made in this room, and this morning we're making history here, getting to talk with President Trump and his top advisors. Several members of President Trump's administration were sworn in this very room, and that includes White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, who joins us. He was previously the longest-serving chairman of the Republican National Committee. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here.
Well, it's a very, really neat and interesting and cool place for you all to be here.
I think so, too.
Hosting this show. It's a great honor to be with you this morning.
And just think, Mr. Priebus, George Washington is watching you right now.
Yeah, the pressure's on. Holy smokes.
In fact, that's the only artifact that has been in the White House since John and Abigail Adams, is that Gilbert Stuart painting of George Washington here.
Let's just look down the hall. It's such a neat thing.
The moment that President Obama walked out here to tell us that Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about President Trump.
You bet.
He has signed 29 bills, 32 executive orders. He's confirmed a Supreme Court justice. The next question is the big legislative victory. Are you expecting a health care bill this week?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think so. I'm an optimistic person.
Do you have the votes, do you think?
I think we will. I think it will happen this week. And so much has been made of this signature piece of legislation and the timing. I think it's important to know for the listeners as well. This goes through the House and the Senate. This will be one of the fastest pieces of signature legislation to go through for a president since Roosevelt, I believe. And so people make so much of the stimulus bill that Barack Obama put through. But remember, that was pre-baked in October during the financial meltdown. And people were writing, on both sides of the aisle, were writing that bill. It passed in February. But other than that, Bush 43 passed the bill in June. Reagan was in August. Bush 41 wasn't until a year and a half later. So this would be very quick for President Trump to get this thing through.
Following up on that, you have to have tax reform by the end of the year?
I think we'll have tax reform by the end of the year. Yeah, I think that's a goal, and I would expect that to happen, Charlie.
It is said that the presidency has been changed by Donald Trump, and the presidency has changed him. How has he changed?
Well, I wouldn't say he's changed. I mean, his views are the same, and his positions on trade and the economy and foreign policy are the same. But I do believe
really. I mean, he talked about NATO in a way that he talks differently about it today. He talked about China differently than he talked about it during the campaign.
NAFTA too.
Okay, let's just take that for a second. I mean, we'll get to the overall question, which is an important one.
Right.
But on NATO, his position is the same, that these countries need to pay up and pay their fair share. You remember, when the Secretary General walked out onto the podium right over there, one of the first things that came out of his mouth was that President Trump is absolutely right, that it's about time that these countries pay up. So I would just say this, look at it a little bit differently. His positions are the same, but his positions are causing others that he's speaking to change their rhetoric and their positions on matter. Look at President Xi. Yes, President Trump has had a great relationship with President Xi, but what's happening is President Xi is using his positioning to leverage in North Korea. So I would just say his positions are the same, and his positions are causing other people to change. Now, as far as the overall question, I think this is an enormous job. And I think any person in America, I'm sure you all just filming from here, me sitting here taking questions from here, it sort of changes you, right? I mean, it sort of makes you think about things a little differently. The enormity of decision-making, that changes anybody. And it has had a huge impact on President Trump.
And thinking about decision-making, there's a lot of very intense conversation going on around North Korea. Can you imagine a scenario where President Trump and Kim Jong-un sit face-to-face and have a conversation?
Not right now, I can't, but not right now, I don't. I would, unless the person was willing to disarm and give up what he's put in mountainsides across his country and give up his drive for nuclear capability and ICBMs. But, so the question, I think the answer is probably not, and I don't see that happening. But we're going to need a lot of cooperation among the region and our leaders around the world in order to get this person under control.
Would there be a change in the tax reform for carried interest?
I think you're probably going to see that. Certainly the president's position, and as I said yesterday, I think that balloon's going to get popped sooner rather than later.
It will be removed.
I think, I mean, if it was up to the president, it'd be gone.
All right, Reince Priebus, we'll have to leave it there, but we thank you very much for joining us at the table.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it.